Welcome back to Forza Horizon 5, and in this episode, we are going to be driving to our first house, and also, we're going to be finding one of the coolest sections of the map that I've seen so far. Now, my original plan was to follow the road, but as you can see, that didn't really last very long, because I decided I would rather just yeet this thing over some hills instead, because I figured, you know what, the shortest distance to get there would have been a straight line, or at least somewhat of a straight line, and then I was like, you know, there really aren't all that many trees in between, like, myself and the house, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna point it in the general direction of the destination marker and just full send it. Now, this is going to be our first house, and honestly, I think it's a really, not only is it a really cool looking house, but I think it really sets up the tone of the game really nicely and really well. Now, obviously, it looks very well at home here in this environment in Mexico, and this is where you officially start your journey through the game. And personally, I think they've done an absolutely incredible job setting up not only the attitude of the game and the feel of the game, but the introduction really does make you feel like your first house is your home in Horizon 5. Now, obviously, there are many other houses that you'll be able to buy and choose throughout the game, but your first house really does feel like a special place, and it feels like a base of operations for you. Now, throughout this episode, we're not only going to be exploring our house right here, but we are also going to be making our way out to one of the beach areas in the game, which is absolutely beautiful, and we're also going to be using that as an opportunity to drive something extremely entertaining. Now, at this point, it was time to start expanding again, and I decided, after looking over some of the different options, I decided to expand into Horizon Apex. Now, in order to do that, the first mission in front of us would have been the Tulum Expedition, and that was the one that I decided to go with. And I think that they chose the best vehicle they possibly could have for this particular mission. However, it's a little bit of a long drive, so we're going to skip ahead just a little bit. Now, I don't know about y'all, but for me, whenever I'm getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer to one of these really special events in Horizon, it really does help build that excitement up so quickly. And let me know in the comment section down below if that's that same feeling that you get when you're on your way to one of these expeditions. Now, jumping in, I was going back and forth. I was like, what vehicle are they going to put us in? And then when I realized what vehicle they were going to put us in, I got very happy very quickly. Now, a storm is brewing, and we are now in a Bronco race rig. This was the absolute best choice they could have made for this particular mission. Now, obviously, this is a lot different from driving my Centenario, but I gotta say, it suits the environment really well, and it's not actually as bad on pavement as you might think it is, because you might look at this thing and go, oh my god, I bet that's gonna be absolutely awful on pavement, but it's actually not. And how gorgeous does the stormy sky look? Like, I legitimately had to remind myself to look at the route and look at where I was going while I was playing through this mission, because the sky itself was not only so beautiful, but I legitimately found myself just staring up at the sky and then having to remind myself, hey, you need to look where you're going, and you actually need to look at the route, otherwise you're going to drive into a tree or like a pole or a, you know, a stump or a fence or a house or something like that. Another thing that I really do enjoy in these missions is I love hearing the radio chatter between your player character and, of course, the character that you're communicating with in the mission. Now, I love, once again, also, how they really have made it a point to make all of these planes fly as close to you as they humanly possibly can, and it really does show off not only the visual style, but, like, the animations. It shows off the art style of the game. It shows off just about everything, and you can really tell that missions like this were a way for them to really go all out in showing people what this game was capable of doing. So at this point in the mission, the plane has actually crash landed, and the pilot says that you're near, or that he's near, some sort of temple, and he's going to send up a flare to show you his location. This is where the mission really starts getting interesting, because the area that we're actually on our way to not only has one of the coolest jumps I've ever seen, but it also is, like, just stylistically one of the most interesting areas I think I've ever seen in a Horizon game. Now, entering this area was like, oh my god, like, straight up, whoa, I had to like step back for a second and actually look around and be like, I need to like internalize what I'm looking at. I need to take this in, because obviously when you get in here, they give you a bunch of objectives listed on the left, but I was like, first of all, and can you blame me, I just wanted to see if you could drive up the steps. I was like, can you actually drive up the steps, or is that not a thing? And, you know, I mean, I understand why they didn't want you to drive up the steps, but at the same time, I was like, man, I'm in like a modified Bronco race truck on massive tires. I kind of want to be able to drive up these steps, but again, I see why they didn't initially let you do that. Now, you can complete this mission without doing any of the other bonus objectives, but I really wanted to get these bonus objectives completed because I felt like there was a lot more to see if we actually were to dive into the bonus objectives. And, for example, this particular one, making sure the radio station was set up, actually, like, was really, for one, it was really, really cool to actually set that up right here in the middle of this area, but I was also, like, I wanted to see everything. I wanted to see all the little things that they had hidden around the area. I wanted to see the things that they had wanted you to look at. And this is one of the statues. There's another statue on the other side of the area that actually is, it's just about the same. It's a little bit similar, different color, but finding things like these little statues and taking photos with them, to me anyway, it really kind of brings the game into a new space and adds this element of not only discovery, but you can take those elements of discovery and keep them with you and keep the moments with you as you save the photos. And I just think that that's such a cool way to be able to look back at the game, especially like way later down the road when you've completed the game. You'll have all of these saved memories to look back on of your own unique journey through the game itself. And I think that's super, super cool. Now, this ramp, you can drive up. The one up here on the right, there's actually, not only is there a board up here, but if you were to hit this at like mad speed, you would have an incredibly crazy jump on your hands. And I had to just go into photo mode just to see what it looked like, because I've got to tell you, once again, like seeing not only the little torches on the side of the ramp, but like the ramp itself, you look like you're literally about to jump straight into the sky. Now, I will say you're not going to jump that high, but you are going to jump pretty dang far. And as we climbed to the top, we actually also got our first barn find rumor, which we're not going to be focusing on that in this video, but make sure you stay tuned to see what that is very, very, very soon. Now, I wanted to jump off just to see how much of this was drivable, and actually, I was happy to report that this right here, and I'm sure if we had fallen onto the upper one as well, that would have been drivable too. And that's another one of the biggest things that I love about Horizon 5 is that there are so many different levels of drivable areas, and it's not like you have, you know, a lower drivable area, an upper drivable area, but you have so many in between. There are so many different levels, so many different tiers, if you will, to different levels of the world that you can actually interact with and drive on. And at this point, I wanted to go ahead and make sure that I didn't miss anything else, because I could see that there were two more things that I was missing, one of those being the other statue. And I really, really wanted to find that other statue, and thankfully, it wasn't actually all that difficult to find, and it wasn't all that far away. Now, let me know in the comment section down below if you would have done this area the same way that I did it, or if you would have had maybe a little bit of a different strategy. Maybe if you would have entered from a different angle, or maybe if you would have, like, circled the place from a different angle. Let me know once again in the comments below how you would have gone about this particular element of the game. Now, this is another one of the statues. This is the second statue that we were having to find, and I actually like this photo better than the one we took at the other statue. I know the other one was a little bit more of like a sideways angle, whereas this one is more of like kind of a 3/4-ish angle, but I do like the way it looks, and I think it actually is another really worthwhile memory to keep around for our journey through the game. Now, with only one more objective to handle before we go to the plane, I was really starting to get excited now, because I figured this wasn't going to be all that tricky to do. I was like, we can get this done, we can handle it, no problem. And this vehicle also, the capability level of it, especially like when you're talking about off-road performance, is, I mean, oh my god, it's on a different level. And also, when you actually fully send that jump, you can clear the entire other side of the ramp and then some. Now, once again though, this whole mission, I absolutely loved it. I loved it so much, and we also went full completionist on it, so I was happy with that.
There you are. Right. Let's push on to the coast. The storms can be bad, but the ancient peoples of this region knew the value of the rain.
And oddly enough, our character had a bit of a TC moment, and we weren't even driving. So now that we have fallen into a bit of a canyon, it is up to us to drive our way out of this storm. And can I also just say, once again, this thing looks so incredibly menacing from the front end. The level of just intimidation that would have pulling up behind you, especially if you were on like a dirt road or a gravel road. I don't know about y'all, but I would be immediately and extremely terrified, and I would also be moving out of its way promptly. Now, getting a look at this storm and also seeing the trees getting blown around by the wind, seeing the rain in the air, seeing all the leaves blowing around, seeing the lightning in the sky, it's just, I had to remind myself once again to not look around and actually look at where I was going, which is kind of a shame because the game is so incredibly beautiful to look at that, like, I literally had moments where I was, like, going off into almost like a bit of a dreamland, like, just looking at everything and marveling at the graphical capability of what this game is able to actually show you and present to you as a player. They really have achieved a level here with Forza Horizon 5 that I never knew that this series was going to be able to achieve. I mean, I knew that this series was going to achieve some really, really high-level things and some really great things, but I didn't expect to be driving through an environment like this and watching environmental events like that and graphical events like that literally playing out right before my eyes while driving a Bronco off-road race rig. I mean, and that just tops everything off, doesn't it? And you may have heard it right there, I actually forgot to shift. I was like, again, I was looking at the view, and then I was like, oh, crap, I'm banging this thing off the rev limiter and kind of driving it like a Honda Civic. I should probably shift. This rev limiter is going to get very upset with me, and I'm not really going to have much speed left to push on. Now, as the skies cleared out, it turned into this absolutely beautiful landscape. The roads were kind of had this, like, almost like a shine to them with all of the water that they had on them, and it really just absolutely shimmered.
You know, I think this will be the perfect spot.
I think you're right, my friend.
And that concludes this episode's journey of not only finding our first house, but also expanding our festival for the first time. Now, as you can see, all of those bonus objectives really paid off, and they really added up here at the end, and it almost seemed like it just kept going and going and going. And then we also gained access to a BAC mono and also some chat messages as well, some Forza Link messages, which were really, really cool. And I'm gonna have to dive into mine and actually really set up all of my messages really soon. I haven't done that yet, being completely honest here. Haven't, like, really dived into that and spent a bunch of time on it because I've been so incredibly just, like, enamored with everything going on in the game itself. And then, randomly, there goes a cargo plane, and then welcome to Horizon Apex. That is going to do it for this episode of Forza Horizon 5, and if you guys enjoyed it, please do let me know any and all thoughts and opinions that you guys may have in the comment section down below. And if you would like to see more Horizon 5, make sure you are subscribed and turn those notifications on. That's going to do it for this one, and I will see y'all later.
Here are the events I've set up so far.